Welcome in, everybody, to this week's episode of Bulletin Sports Talk. I'm your host, Brian Rathbone of the Bulletin. And on today's show, we got Noah Wolf again, coming on to talk a little Elks baseball. Elks just wrapped up a really successful road trip where they won three series, winning 7 of 9 games. So it's just kind of a good time to kind of catch up and figure out what's been working for them the last couple weeks. So anyway, here's Noah. Is the voice of the Bend Elks, Noah Wolf, joining us once again to chat a little bit about the improvement that the Elks have shown the last couple weeks. He's coming off a very late night, didn't wrap up his play-by-play duties until early this morning, and the game still hasn't ended. Noah, thanks for joining. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing all right. I'm used to sleeping in. It's been late nights frequently. On Sunday night, our bus didn't get in from Longview until 4 a.m. So that kind of threw off my sleep schedule a little bit. But it's okay. We're doing all right. I need to get back into the whole going to bed at a decent time and waking up early routine at some point. But tonight, last night was not that night.
I think you're in the wrong profession if that's what you're looking for. All right. So the Elks, obviously had kind of a rough start to the year. Started the year 1-9, and now they've won what? 7 of 9, 8 of 9. What's
7 of 9? Yeah,
7-9.
Mm-hmm.
What's been the biggest change that you've seen over these last, kind of 2 weeks since this kind of win streak kind of started, or this win streak kind of started for them?
I think a lot of it is getting the players that they expected to have. At the beginning of the season, our 1-9 team was a lot of 10-day contracts, a lot of temp guys. Between the end of the Ridgefield series and the beginning of the Cowlitz series, way back in early June, like June 9th is when that Cowlitz series started. We went through, I think 12 guys got released off the roster, and a bunch that were on the full roster came into town. After that, it takes a little while for the guys that come into town to settle in. So even when we had mostly our full team, it was a slow start. They got one win that first week, but that was it. 1-9, like you said, to start off the season. And then since then, 7-2 in the last 9 games. So, the Elks are the second hottest team in the league, and they just beat the hottest team in the league in Corvallis 2 nights ago. So I think it just comes down to these guys getting to know each other now and being comfortable around each other, and having played together for a few weeks now, having gone on a grueling 10-game or 9-game, 10-day road trip together. It's brought them closer, and I think it's made them better as a team.
Yeah, I was talking with Kyle about this not last week, but the week before, and just like kind of when you're dealing with kind of this roster turnovers, like it's almost like you're like a minor league coach with players being called up or called down, where you just are just kind of at one point kind of treading water, as you're finding out what these guys can do, because you have kind of an idea what they can do, but until you kind of see it and they're able to kind of execute in game like situations and whatnot, you're just kind of rolling the dice, almost just seeing what kind of players these guys actually are. And so it sounds like you feel like they've kind of settled in on kind of like who their guys are, or like, all right, here are the guys we can trust in certain situations. Here's who we want to bring in to close out games, or here's kind of a batting order. You think they've kind of settled kind of more into something like that?
Yeah, definitely. They've figured out what they have, and they've figured out how to use it, right? And that's a big thing when you're throwing together a roster of guys from all over the country. We talked about this the last time that you and I spoke, Brian, that you never know what version of a guy is going to show up to summer ball. If it's going to be the same as he was over the spring, or if he's going to do much better or much worse. It's all out there. It's all a possibility. And now that the players have been here for a couple of weeks, the coaches have figured out exactly where they can go. And they're still doing some experimenting. You're still going to see different lineups and people in different positions that maybe they haven't played in a while or ever. But they definitely know what they have as a roster, and they have an idea of a consistent lineup. I mean, we've seen, Gavin Rourke, Sam Linscott in the 1-2 spot. Pretty consistently now, Julian Kodama has emerged as a consistent cleanup hitter. And you know who your best defensive guys are. Gavin Logan has been tremendous behind the dish for the Elks. So yeah, like you said, it's just figuring out what you have and now finding a way to use it.
Yeah. Are there things that you feel yourself, as you're broadcasting these games, that you're not saying as much as things you're saying not as much anymore than you were like a couple weeks ago when they're kind of in that, slow start that you're saying now? Or like how do you kind of like tell like the team's different by how you're calling games?
I wouldn't say that I've had any of those sort of cues. But I think that they just play with more confidence now, than they did. And it shows in certain aspects. They started off the season 12 games in a row of committing an error. And since then they've had a few errorless games. I mean, they're still going to happen, but they're happening much less frequently now, the errors on defense. So I think that's a big thing. Being comfortable with where you're at over the summer will help you figure out how to play better. And I think that's definitely started to happen.
You kind of see this in, professional sports and whatnot, where they go on this, where teams kind of go on this long road trip where it can kind of like either be like good or bad for a team. They could just like get worn down, or it's like a kind of just like a kind of a unifying experience. Like you said, they just went on a 9-game, 10-day road trip. What did you kind of take away from that experience, being kind of, around the guys? You feel like that was kind of like a galvanizing trip for this team that's, still kind of feeling each other out?
Yeah, I think it really helped them gel as a team in a lot of different ways. Obviously, on the field is a big factor, and they performed well on the field. They won every series, all three that they played on the road. They won in Wenatchee, in Bellingham, and in Longview against Cowlitz. And the common thread in all of those series was they split the first two games. So in Wenatchee, they lost the first, won the second. In Bellingham, they won the first, lost the second. In Cowlitz, they lost the first, won the second. And then the third game of the series, the rubber match, went into extra innings every time. Went into 10 innings in Wenatchee, 11 in Bellingham, 12 in Longview. And they won all three of those rubber matches. And I think that just shows the sort of fight that this team has. They have a never say die attitude. I mean, there was what really personified it for me was a game 2 in Wenatchee. The team went down 3 or 4 runs in the bottom half of the 4th inning. And then the very next inning scored 11 to take a lead that they wouldn't relinquish. I mean, I saw that 4-0 game and I said to myself, I didn't say this on the air, but I said, yeah, it's over. I mean, a 4-run lead with the Elks that I know, from a week ago, no chance. But I said that to one of the players and they're like, yeah, that really never crossed our mind. Like we knew that we were still in this game, even though we were down by 4. So they have that fight, they have that drive, and it's definitely paid off. They are 3-0 in extra inning games, pending the extra inning game that is technically still in progress, as that one will be wrapped up at 4:30 this afternoon. But yeah, they've got that fight. And then in terms of the the road trip and how that brought the team together, there's a few experiences that I think really showcase that. And the first one was after the Wenatchee series. The team went to Kyle Novak, our head coach, his dad and grandpa's property in Marysville, where he grew up. And the homes of his dad and his grandpa are both, modest 1-story houses, but his grandpa has this big property, this sprawling grassy area with a lot of pine trees, backs up to a creek. It's really a beautiful area. And there was a lot of room there. So the guys, just chilled there for the day. They played some wiffle ball. They hit the golf ball around, threw the football, whatever. Chilled in. Some of them took a nap in the shade of the pine trees. And then at like 4:00, they had a big cookout for us. Some chicken on the grill, some burgers, some steaks. Watched the College World Series that day as well. And I think that was good for everybody. It was a relaxing day after a good series win, an extra inning game the night before. And it just gave everybody a chance to relax and enjoy each other's company. And I think that experience definitely brought the team closer together. And then the other thing, after the Longview, the Cowlitz win, on the bus ride home, which started at about 11 o'clock p.m., for the first half hour, the team was doing karaoke on the bus.
Yeah, I was telling me about that yesterday.
Yeah. So I think that was another just example of how close these guys are. They just met a month ago at most. Like, the longest these guys have known each other is for a month. I mean, some of them grew up together or whatever, but like as a team, they've only been together for 3 weeks ish. But they are close and they are gelling as a team. And I think some of those off the field experiences have turned into on-field success.
So I got a couple questions about these. What's a wiffle ball game like between college baseball players?
It's pretty childlike, like imagine your game of wiffle ball between guys at the Sandlot, right? It's they're very loose, they're very vocal, they chirp at each other all the time. You have the position players that are pitching, you have the pitchers that are hitting, and yeah, it's just very the looseness of baseball in its sort of purest form.
But do they just crush the ball when they make contact?
Not as much as you'd expect. I mean,
okay.
With the wiffle ball, the thing about wiffle ball is that the ball is set up in a way that it drags the air a lot differently than a baseball. So if you look at any pro wiffle ball, which there's pro wiffle ball, if you look at any of those highlights, you'll see these nasty sliders and these, just breaking pitches that go every which way. It's tough to hit. So I mean, you had a couple of home runs in the wiffle ball court, but not very many. Just guys doing the best they can against top caliber pitching as well.
Yeah, the pitch is just is there stuff more nasty and whatnot with these guys?
I mean, we mostly had position players pitching,
okay.
So it's not as if they were throwing their sliders or whatever they normally have. But it's a lot easier to throw a slider with a wiffle ball because of the drag. I tossed the ball a couple of times and was able to get some nice movement on it.
And then with these karaoke after the game on the bus, is it good? Is it bad? is there anyone who's got talent?
I would say out of the people that sang, the best pipes were Bennett Thompson. I was in a college choir,
okay.
So I have vocal background. I have an ear, yeah. I mean, I'm not going to say that most of the guys were, hitting the pitches exactly where they're supposed to be, but they had the most important part of karaoke, which is the confidence, right? I think if you can sing as badly as you want, but if you're confident and you're fun, then you've won the karaoke night. And I think with the hype up from the rest of the players, everybody was having fun. But yeah, I'll give a shout out to Bennett Thompson.
And Thompson, what's he singing?
He sang "Eye of the Tiger."
Okay.
And yeah, he was doing very well. He could carry a tune for sure.
All right, so we're kind of reaching almost the halfway point of the season. The Elks, they are constantly in these one run down to the wire games. Even the last series they lost against Ridgefield. There's a couple games that came down to the very end. You kind of see that kind of continuing throughout for this team.
I mean, we'll see. There's a lot of teams that the Elks still haven't seen this year, but they've shown in this series against the Knights that they can compete against the very best that the West Coast League has to offer. Corvallis 14-4 coming into this game, the best record in the league by 3 games. So yeah, I think the Elks have a chance to compete. I don't think there's anything about them specifically that makes them susceptible to one-run games necessarily, or close games for that matter. But if they're in those close games, they're going to have a chance to compete no matter what.
Are there just like a couple players you feel like have just really emerged as hey, these are really important players for this team kind of last couple weeks?
Absolutely. On the offensive side, the obvious answer is Sam Linscott. He's leading the West Coast League in average. It was 441 before yesterday's game, which stats haven't updated since yesterday's game hasn't technically ended. Yeah, he has reached base safely with a base hit in every game he's appeared in, which is now 16 games. So 16 game hitting streak to start his season. A lot of those games, the majority of them have been multi-hit games. So Linscott is definitely the leader in that category. He leads the West Coast League in batting average, in on-base percentage plus slugging, OPS. He leads the Elks in RBIs, in runs scored, in extra base hits, doubles and triples and home runs, tied for the team lead in triples and home runs. But yeah, he can hit the ball. He's been the Elks' most important offensive player. And then I'd say on the pitching side, RJ Gordon has emerged as the Elks' best starter. He had a rough start his first time, but his last 2 starts, he went 7 innings both times, gave up 2 runs in Bellingham, 1 run against the Knights here in Bend, got the win both times. And yeah, just going 7 innings is, you don't see it a lot in West Coast League ball, because, one reason or another. But yeah, he had the stuff. Struck out 11 Corvallis Knights 2 nights ago. So I'd say RJ Gordon has been the pitcher, and Sam Linscott has been the hitter for the Elks this year.
Yeah, fun little anecdote about RJ. Yesterday, come over to the ballpark, and he's just out there, just getting the mound already and whatnot. This is way before most of the team was arriving, even with I don't even think Kyle was there yet, because I was just sitting there waiting, and to go do some interviews, come out, and he's still kind of working the mound. And I didn't know it was him at the time. I was like, hey, can I talk to RJ for the story I'm doing? And he's like, oh, he's over there doing the mound. I was like, man, this guy throws a couple Elks records, and then you have him out doing the doing the field. He's like, nope, he did it himself. He's like, the best teams have leadership within the team, and then just Kyle's walked off. And so you can kind of start to see some signs of at least a really good team kind of starting to form, and kind of you can see they're getting more comfortable with each other, and kind of buying into what winning teams kind of do.
Absolutely.
All right, Noah. Well, hey, really appreciate you joining me today, even though you have a hopefully one quick game and another game later tonight. Yeah.
Let me plug the rest of the series too. We've got
Plug away.
finishing up with Corvallis. Game starts at 4:30. The 11th inning starts at 4:30 of yesterday's resumed game, and then Thursday 6:35 start time for the finale of the series. We'll see if the Elks win the series before that, or if they need that game to win the series. We'll see. And then the Yakima Valley Pippins come to town. Let me check my notes, make sure that I am. Yes, Yakima Valley. It'll be Friday, Saturday, Sunday series. Saturday is the fireworks extravaganza, as always. And then Sunday, on the 4th, I believe we will do as we always have done. Don't quote me on this, but in the past, after the game ends on the 4th, we open up the field, keep the concession stands open, and you can watch the Pilot Butte fireworks show from the field. Is the Pilot Butte fireworks show still happening, Brian?
I believe so.
Okay.
I think it's just all like the standard, kind of ones where they can manage and are prepared for that are still going, but it's the non-official ones where they're got the firework ban.
Right. So yeah, we'll have our fireworks extravaganza after the game on the 3rd, and then you can watch the Pilot Butte fireworks show from the field. Bring your lawn chairs, bring your picnic blankets, and camp out at Vince Genna to watch the Pilot Butte fireworks show on the 4th. And it should be a great series of baseball with the Yakima Valley Pippins. So, and then we've got a game the next Tuesday and the next weekend. So plenty of Elks baseball in your future.
Yep. After a long road trip, got a nice homestand. And again, you can watch the games on the Bend Elks Facebook page, and that's where you can also listen to Noah call the game.
Absolutely. Or come join us at Vince Genna.
Always a great option too. All right, Noah. Hey, really appreciate you taking the time, and we'll talk again soon.
Sounds good. Thanks, Brian.
Thank you for everyone for making it this far into the show. Remember, you can find these podcasts on Apple, on Spotify, on YouTube, and on the Bulletin's website. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll be back again next week.